Good morning, Indy fans. Well, folks, it's Monday the 8th of March 2021, and it's time for DaviePHD's Mythbusters, episode 28. In these videos, I bust the myths surrounding Scottish independence, and this week I'm going to bust the myth that our pensions are under threat in an independent Scotland. As we go through our working lives, we all look forward to retirement. At that time in our lives, our bodies are going to start to slow down, our health may begin to suffer. So with that in mind, and having worked longest and hardest of all, our older citizens absolutely deserve to at least see out their days under a safe blanket of financial security. In the first independence referendum in 2014, a lot was made about the potential threat to our old age pensions. And that was sadly reflected at the ballot box. When the demographics of the referendum were assessed, it was pensioners and those close to pensionable age that largely voted no thanks. But old age pensions were never under threat in 2014. And most importantly, they still aren't under threat today, even if we secured independence right now. In fact, our pensioners will be exponentially better off in an independent Scotland. Now, if I was to be kind about the Better Together campaign and how they played this, I'd say they perhaps selectively didn't correct a misunderstanding about pension provisions. However, if I'm going to be brutally honest about it, they told flat out lies. So what was that misunderstanding, I hear you ask? Well, it's basically a misunderstanding of the difference between a private pension and a state pension. When a person takes out a private pension, the money or premium that they pay in throughout their working life is directly invested on their behalf. And depending on the performance of that investment, an income is paid out when they retire. There is a perception that the exact same thing happens with the government state's pension scheme, but that's not what actually happens. In fact, it's fuck all like that. When a person contributes to the UK state pension, the money, part of their national insurance contributions that they pay throughout their working life, is actually used to directly finance the incomes of current state pensioners. So in reality, the money I pay into the National Insurance Fund actually pays my parents' state pension today. So the widely accepted perception by people that their national insurance contributions are paying into a big pension pot for their retirement gives them the illusion of the same security that a private pension offers. But that perception is actually plain wrong. In reality, paying in gives pensioners the entitlement to access the national insurance contributions of the current working age population to fund their retirement. So my mum and dad's national insurance contributions throughout their working lives actually entitle them to access my contributions from today to fund their pensions. Now sadly, not everyone lives long enough to claim this entitlement. I've lost 3 friends in recent years, all of whom worked most of their lives, paid taxes and national insurance contributions. So what happens to that money? You'd think it would be used to beef up the pensions of those who did live long enough to claim, right? Take a look at this Freedom of Information request from early in 2019. The fund had a surplus of over £2 billion in 2017-18 and a balance of £24 billion. But you'd be flat out wrong in thinking it would be used to beef up pensions, because the UK government actually used it to pay down the national debt. So when you make that connection, the one where it's actually current national insurance contributions that finance state pensions, and make peace in your head with the fact that the money you paid in is long since spent, then you'll realise that by leaving the UK, Scotland is not walking away from some infinite pot of gold which benevolently pays weekly pensions to our old age pensioners. The penny will finally drop that the UK pension is not paid from said fictional pot of gold, but from national insurance contributions that were just paid in the previous week. And when you can accept that, you'll also be able to accept that on Independence Day 1 that Scottish people will still be working, they'll still be paying independent Scottish taxes and independent Scottish national insurance. Then you'll be able to accept that your state pension is not under threat in an independent Scotland. So unless the whole country goes in the dole overnight in the event of independence, taxes and national insurance will still be there to fund pensions. There's no money in any fictional pot of pension gold that we'll be walking away from. The National Insurance Fund is actually virtually empty. Any contributions you pay in are not saved for your future, but are in fact spent very, very quickly, and often on things you haven't consented to. Your pension is just as secure in Indy, Scotland as it is in the UK, with the additional kicker that it actually becomes more valuable. The Better Together claim that our pensions were at risk if we voted to leave in 2014 was false. And I raise it now because as we approach the Holyrood election cycle, it's likely to start again. And it's just as false a claim today as it was 7 years ago. The UK state pension is actually the lowest in the developed world. Look at this graph here showing pension provision against career average salaries. Ours is 28%. The blue thick line is the state pension, and the thin black line is the combination of the state pension topped up by privately held funds. Now, as we start moving our graph to the right, we pass nations all much poorer than the United Kingdom. Estonia, Latvia, Slovenia, all referred to by me in previous videos as nations basically plundered by the Soviet Union and then cut adrift. Even starting from scratch, these nations are outperforming the UK, which is allegedly one of the great nations of the world. And then we get to the middle of the graph, where we find the OECD average, where a state pension is currently 58% of career average earnings. Now in 2019, the SNP pledged that a Scottish state pension would at least meet the OECD average, which, in comparison to the UK state pension, is at least double. So not only is the state pension secure in an independent Scotland, our pensioners will also be better off than they currently are in the United Kingdom. So folks, thanks for watching this video. Please feel free to share it with anyone you like, especially any sceptical pensioners that you may know. DaviePHD.